Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, January 28th. We are coming off a roller coaster of a session yesterday to start the week. Markets ultimately ended mixed, with the Dow, the day's only winner, climbing its way back from morning lows. The Dow added 289 points, or 0.65%. The S&P 500 closed in the red, off 88 points, or about 1.5%. Weighed down by tech, the Nasdaq tumbled 612 points, or more than 3%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're actually trading higher. We're up 0.21%, a little over 0.2%. That's good news. There is a, positive reaction in tech this morning, which is showing gains. I mean, after yesterday's selling pressure, it's kind of considered to be a bit overdone. Markets are indicating that the news from that DeepSeek is, that news from DeepSeek, it's unlikely to really create a major change in CapEx spending because firms have already announced it. They typically don't want to give back that money that they've already announced that they're going to be spending. So I don't see that really making a change. But I will say that moves like yesterday, they're not always limited to one session. I've seen like 2 weeks later, boom. Same story, the market falls apart over the same story. So, right now we're positive. It looks like things are good. It's not hitting all sectors, which is good. It's just really, focused on tech. But we could see some more weakness in tech in the weeks ahead. Drug stocks, hey, they're falling this morning. Trump is talking tariffs on the pharma industry. And then you got that RFK Jr. nomination process. And it's going to be a very contentious relationship between RFK Jr. and the drug companies, so that's causing some weakness there. Drug companies are said to have raised prices on like 800 medicines this year, by the way. Donald Trump also indicated that Microsoft is a potential bidder for TikToc. That's interesting. On the earnings front, hey, we saw beats coming in from RCL, Royal Caribbean, General Motors, Raytheon, RTX. So, there's more to come. And today starts the FOMC meeting. We get that announcement tomorrow afternoon. Those are typically market moving announcements, especially that press conference that Powell gives after making the announcements. But we're taking a look over Europe to see the European action this morning. And you look at the DAX. The DAX is up 187 points, or 0.88%. You look, and it's really on corporate earnings. That's what's really pushing the DAX higher. The FTSE up 40 points, or 0.48%. That's positive. You see, oil stocks moving higher. Pharma stocks are doing good. They're holding up. The CAC in Paris up 33 points, or 0.42%. They got that the ECB meeting coming up. Their ECB meeting is Thursday, and they're scheduled to get a rate cut of 25 basis points. So that's all positive, for European shares. Asia was a little bit off. I mean, and the Nikkei did fall. The Nikkei fell 548 points, or 1.39%. And the move lower was caused by the selling of chip stocks and, also that hawkish commentary that came out of the ECB, that came out of the BOJ when they raised interest rates last week. They're still talking about raising interest rates another time this year. So that's causing a little cautionary flags for Japanese stocks. The Hang Seng did finish with a gain. It was up 27 points, or 0.14%, minor, but they closed early because they have that, holiday going on. In Shanghai, they were closed, overnight. I mean, they're actually closed all week long for that Lunar New Year celebration. So we're not going to be expecting any action, out of Hong Kong or Shanghai for the next couple of days. That's for sure. Then we'll turn our attention over to oil, and oil is showing gains. We got oil up, over, approaching 0.7%. You got WTI at $73.65 a barrel. You got Brent at $77.61 a barrel. It is showing a little bit of rebound from yesterday's big sell-off where oil prices fell over 2%. And I just want to point out today, 4:30 p.m., guess what? You get the API oil stockpile estimates. That could be an interesting report. But that's what I have for you in terms of morning market update, Emily.
Bill, as you mentioned, we're sort of turning the corner to positive sentiment this morning. We're going to see if those gains will hold throughout the morning and the trading session. One of the areas that you are taking a look at that you pointed out right there in your opening is earnings action. Plenty happening there. You named a few companies as a preview, but let's dive in. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings?
Start off with General Motors, ticker GM, Grace Michael. They beat by 8 cents on higher revenue. I mean, the stock, jumped after the earnings were announced. I mean, it actually hit a high at 57.59, but it's now it's down, about 2 cents to 54.90. Don't be surprised if it, continues to move a little higher. GM's got legs. RTX, Richard Tom X-Ray, that's RTX Corp. They beat by 16 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. That stock is trading higher by 3.96%. Then you have JetBlue, ticker JBLU, John Boy, Larry Uncle. They beat by 9 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. JetBlue's trading off by 7.91%. Then you got Royal Caribbean, ticker RCL, Richard Charlie Larry. They beat by 13 cents, although it was done on lower revenue. That stock's up 5.14% this morning. So, a lot of good positive earnings come out. Then you have stuff that's upcoming like Chubb. They're releasing after the bell. That's ticker CB, Charlie Boy. Their EPS is $5.45. Expected move is 5.01%. Man, that put call ratio at 2.11, that's negative. I don't like that. It doesn't make my list. Starbucks, ticker SBUX, EPS 65 cents, expected move 6.90%. Put call ratio 0.69. Yeah, okay. It's good. Brinker International, they're reporting tomorrow morning. That's EAT, Edward Apple Tom. They got an EPS of $1.68, and their expected move is 11.76% when they release tomorrow morning. Restaurant stocks, I find them really difficult to judge. You don't know food waste, you don't really know traffic, and it's hard to judge. But EAT, I mean, it has showed some strong gains last year, so the momentum is there. Something to think about, but they're releasing tomorrow morning, and that's what I have for you in terms of earnings action, Emily.
And Bill, you did mention RTX, Raytheon Technologies. That was your pick of the day yesterday. It is up this morning, but we will do a full check-in on that by the end of the show to see how that went. In terms of economic events, that two-day FOMC meeting has begun, as you mentioned, that announcement on monetary policy due out tomorrow with comments from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. That is highly anticipated, but in the meantime, there's a couple of reports to be keeping track of today. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of economic events?
At 8:30 a.m. This morning, we get the advance report for December for durable goods orders. 9 a.m. you get the Case-Shiller Home Price Index. 10 a.m. you get the Consumer Confidence Index. 4:30 p.m. API oil stockpile estimates. And you're right, today does start the new Fed meeting, and the rotation is done. The Fed's going to have 4 new voting members. They're going to include Goolsbee from Chicago, Collins from Boston, Muslim from St. Louis, and Schmidt from Kansas City. I mean, they normally do this every year. There's a rotation in the voting Fed bank presidents who get the vote. So, it has switched. So we'll have to wait and see what the results are from the switch. But I still don't expect to see a rate cut from the Fed or any change in interest rates from them at this meeting, Emily.
We'll see if they hang tight tomorrow on any further cuts, and you'll have that information as soon as it comes out because you have your NewsWare, you have Fed alerts set up, economic alerts set up, and you have earnings alerts set up. That's how you're gathering all of that information, and you're still gathering more information. And on a day like today where we started the week off on a bumpy start, you're wondering what are the stories behind the stocks? If sentiment's changing today, why is that? And not only are you keeping track of those main headlines, but you're also digging deeper and finding out what other market moving information there might be. You're looking at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You're looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 15 higher, 15 lower. It's fluctuating. In terms of my FANG stocks, a little weakness in Netflix, a little weakness in Amazon, but everything else is trading higher. Okay, they're not like showing enormous gains, but they are trading higher, so that's good to see. Like some of the news minor, like Amazon, it's off by about 0.3%. Whole Foods is owned by Amazon. Their workers vote to form a union. Amazon doesn't like unions. Google, ticker GOG, stocks up almost 0.7%. Google's going to fight that more than 4 billion EU antitrust fine over Android. They feel that the regulators really just bungled their investigation. So they're going to go in there and they're going to fight that $4 billion fine. Meta, ad stocks like Meta could benefit from lower cost AI models, is the story I saw out there. Then we've got, Tesla, listen, the fact of the matter is earnings for Tesla are due out Wednesday. You got on Wednesday afternoon, you got Tesla. They're expected to move 8.85%. You got Meta. They're also coming out Wednesday afternoon. They're expected to move 7.47%. And Microsoft, Mr. Softy, MSFT, they're coming out Wednesday afternoon, and they're expected to move 5.66% when they release. So we got a lot of stuff on that on the FANG stock front. We're talking Dow Jones 30s, Boeing, ticker BA, Boy Apple. Stocks flat this morning. I mean, they reported that big loss, but that was expected because they pre-announced last week. But on a positive note, remember that airline that crashed? Well, the investigation was showing that there were birds in the engine. Birds in the engine, meaning it has nothing to do with the plane's structure. So that's actually, a positive for Boeing. Listen, this is the worst quarter they're going to be seeing in a long time. So I'm kind of positive on shares of Boeing moving forward. I will say that. Face it, there's only two big wide-body airplane manufacturers in the entire world. There's Boeing and Airbus. The deal's got to go somewhere, and I always like to buy the Boeing ahead of air shows because they always typically get a bunch of orders, and they always cause stocks to move. What is it? Microsoft. What can you say about Microsoft? Stocks trading up about 0.2% this morning. Trump's out there saying that Microsoft is in talks to buy TikTok, and Trump says he'd like to see a bidding war over the social media app. So yeah, I mean, he didn't say that Oracle was really involved, but he did point out Microsoft. So that's kind of interesting. In terms of merger news, we got to talk Juniper Networks, ticker JNPR, John, Nancy, Paul, Richard. Okay, there's chatter out there suggesting that the DOJ may block HPE's buyout of Juniper Networks. So we'll have to wait and see if that happens or not. Guidance, Crane, ticker CR, Charlie Richard. They see full year 2025 EPS coming in $5.30, $5.60. Street estimate is $5.15. They didn't have a good report though. General Motors, ticker GM, they see full year 2025 adjusted EPS coming in $11 to $12. Street estimates $10.76. That's not bad. I like that. Royal Caribbean, ticker RCL, they see Q1 adjusted EPS coming in $2.43 to $2.53. Now the street estimates is $2.36. That's an uptick. RCL, nice guy, nice. In terms of shareholders, the meeting, Benton Dickinson, ticker BDX, Boy David X-Ray, they're having a shareholders meeting at 1 p.m. And Hormel Foods, ticker HRL, Henry, Richard, Larry, they're having a shareholders meeting today at 7 p.m. That could be interesting. Buyback, Samsara, that's ticker SANM. Sam, Apple, Nancy, Michael, their board authorized a repurchasing agreement of up to $300 million in stock. And that's what I have for you about news in the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us today?
I'm going with NASDAQ, ticker NDAQ, Nancy David, Apple Quinton. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. EPS is 75 cents. Expected move is 5.95%. Yesterday's call volume, 833. Put volume, 441. Not 2-to-1, but close. Open interest, 20,051 versus 12,359. Positive. Major brokers raising price targets, and face it, NASDAQ is a publicly traded monopoly. I mean, if you look at them, 70% of their revenue is reoccurring. Okay, it's not transactional based, it's reoccurring revenue because they sell a lot of data systems, they sell a lot of data, and they're the only one you can get the data from. They're NASDAQ. If you want to get the NASDAQ, what is it, data from NASDAQ, whether it be from, some option data or whether it be from, what was it, the early morning pre-indications, you can only get that from NASDAQ, and they raise those fees every year. As soon as they find out that, hey, this is important stuff, they raise the fees. Those fees that they charge the algorithmic traders for connecting into their data center, yeah, they can raise them, and those guys have to pay it because without it, they're out of business. So NASDAQ, publicly traded monopoly, is sort of a publicly traded monopoly. I mean, I guess they have some competition, but these guys really do have the ability to make earnings every quarter. For me to get in the stock, I want to get in $81 to $81.25, somewhere around that range. But I think it's easily going to make the 1%. So that's my pick of the day. NASDAQ ticker NDAQ. Nancy, David, Apple, Quinton, Emily.
Bill, looking for that 1% in NASDAQ today, earnings ahead of their earnings, and you are looking for a specific entry price that is a specific strategy that you used often and you used yesterday as well. And coming up, as I pointed out, was we will do that recap on that pick of the day. And before we get there, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Chevron, CVX, Chevron power plants to be for data centers used for AI. Because Chevron plans to build natural gas power plants. That just hit the tape I saw. Lockheed Martin, LMT, they see a full year 2025 share repurchasing $3 billion. LMT, Larry Michael Tom. NetApp and San Francisco 49ers in a multi-year strategic partnership. I think that's over the stadium name. Tariff threat to push Bank of Canada towards 6th straight rate cut. Yeah, I can see that. Boeing says 787 program exited the year at 5 per month. Yeah, just wait till the rest of this year. They're going to be dwarfing that number. What else we got here? HIMS, HIMS, Henry, India, Michael Sams. They announced plans to advertise their weight loss shots during the Super Bowl. That's positive for them. European drug companies like LZN, AZN, Trump discussed much bigger tariffs on pharma than the 2.5% when he was speaking last night. He was talking to reporters on Air Force One apparently. Boeing reported that annual loss of $11.83 billion, its largest since 2020, as it grappled with problems at the commercial and defense units in the fallout from the crippling strike. Aerospace and defense company RTX posted a rise in quarterly profit as demand for its aircraft parts and repair services benefited from the airlines flying older and maintaining and maintenance intense plans for planes. They have to do that to cope with the jet plane shortage. 19 Republican attorney generals have called on Costco to abandon its DEI policies. I don't like the government telling me what to do. I don't like the government telling a company what to do. That's just not right. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. Don't tell a public company what to do. Jana Partners told the company's board on Monday and signaled that it may launch a board fight later this year. Lamb Wesson, ticker LW. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off today to get to trading, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was RTX, as we pointed out earlier in the show. During your earnings rundown, they did report earnings, as you told us. They reported a Q4 EPS of $1.54, 16 cents better than the analyst estimates. Revenue for the quarter came in at $21.62 billion versus estimates of $20.53 billion. In terms of guidance, they see full year 2025 EPS of $6 to $6.15. The consensus was right there in the middle at $6.08. Bill, you were trading this one yesterday. We're going to grab that 1% if you saw it. I did check it this morning. It is up after earnings. So how did your call work out?
Worked out well. I mean, listen, RTX had a wild ride yesterday. Along with the market was very volatile. And the stock opened up at 126.62. I told you that was too high. I needed to get a lower price, and because of the volatility in the market, I knew this. I felt confident that the stock was going to fall, and it did. It actually fell down to 124.60 area. Then it recovered, and it closed out the session at 125.05. Yesterday, honestly, I got in 124.70, 10 cents higher than the low. That's pure luck. I mean, you can't do that. And and I sold out at 125.95. I got my 1% gain, so I was happy until this morning when I see the stock trading at 130. I mean, it's up 4.66%. Oh, I'm sorry, 130.88. Yeah, RTX worked out any way you look at it, whether you got it at the opening price, whether you got it at my target price, or getting a better price. I mean, that RTX into earnings, it was a winner because RTX's movement had a strong result. So very happy with the win. Just wish I would have held it, but RTX was a winner, Emily.
Can never be mad at green there, Bill, and certainly a chance for a win any way you slice it. And tomorrow we will check in with you on today's pick of the day, NASDAQ. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.